From the Mayor's Blog, keeping the residents of Apalachicola informed.
I think if you have, what's the best way I can say this? Culturally, you would, like right now we have a black and white SRO. I think that works better than having versus a male-female, because if you got a good SRO, they should be able to talk to males and females regardless of what the gender is. Now, you know, Franklin County is kind of unique due to the fact that, you know, we do have a lot of different diversity here in the community. And it's a lot of things that I don't understand about certain communities that, you know, if I took a certain approach, like if I was aggressive and said, look, you know, you need to tell me about deer hunting or whatever, then if I took that approach, then I wouldn't get anything. But if I was open to that and said, look, you know, tell me about deer hunting, sit down and tell me what's going on, you know, with your life and how certain things affect you, then I think that, you know, that's a better approach than having, saying, okay.
What you have to think about. Here's an example. Just this year, a sixth grader was asked to hand a teacher something in a middle school classroom, and when the student returned this item to the teacher just had the hand out, and the student put it in the hand, but put it in the hand in a forceful manner. When it hit the hand, it then dropped on the floor and hit the teacher on the foot. The referral that was sent to my office was Class 4. The student had attacked the teacher, and the teacher wanted the student removed for 10 days. Based on their interpretation of the policy. So, if you look on page 62, that's a sample of the referral form. If you look on 62, that's where I get to come in and I get to use my own judgment.
The principal may know is that there was an intervention before that time, or that there was a situation, maybe there wasn't adequate preparation in the classroom, so the place was out of control, and then, you know, it happens to the kid. So just as Carlos said, every situation is different, so is every teacher. And, you know, some teachers have a real high tolerance for noise. That's just one small thing. Others do not. It's very frustrating on a school administrator when I would tell you that as a school administrator, there were probably 5 teachers that were responsible for 90% of the referrals. And it has to do with their own temperament and their own personality, or could be also what kind of class they teach, could be their teaching style, could be a lot of circumstances.
You deal with the behaviors of the kids. You know, not to criticize, but anytime you got to take a bottle of water, get the kids' attention, then you need to take your teachers and take them out and fire them and get you some more teachers. And let's train them. This is a different population of kids we're dealing with. It's a very permissible society. You can't blame everything on TV, on the paper. We have to blame ourselves. Kids emulate us. Why do they say what they say? Because we say it. Why do they hate? We hate it. They bring that to the ball game. Now, if you expect the school system to raise your child and set policies in your house and behavior, you got to be kidding. Because they don't want to be sued. That's all the work this red book here will get them sued if they don't follow it. So let's be support. You know, the support of these folks is just very, very important.
Referrals to DJJ, and 4 of those were school related. And so you all should really be commended for that. And I just want to pause to commend Deputy Hill, because as Secretary Johnson said, we hosted a workshop in Bonita Springs with the SRO officers. And when you stated that you dealt with a young lady who had a drug dependency problem, that you recommended her to a program. And that's where we want to get these school resource officers to. If the crimes aren't, you know, that serious, for the lack of a better word, that we get these students, that we do need assessments on them, and that we get them to the type of services that they need such as a program that could possibly help that child deal with her issues, not only at home, but what's forcing her to turn to drugs to deal with her problems. So I really want to commend you for that, because that's where we want to ultimately get all our school resource officers.
Research, juvenile delinquency, so that's my area of research. But let's go through each one of those domains, and we can have dialogue back and forth. I mean, you guys may be using some strategies here that may need to be introduced to Miami-Dade. So you just don't know. But let's start with first, the individual domain. Major components of the individual risk domain include social bonding, peer influence, drug use, health issues, mental health issues, the degree to which issues that negatively or positively impact a youth's social life determine whether he or she is delinquent or not. Now, you can have issues that impact the kid, and that kid is delinquent. It was 10 of us in a double wide trailer. There's some folk within that would call that a negative domain. It wasn't for me, because my dad laid down the law. I have a 9th grade education, but you're going to have more. When I go to work, you're going to go to school. So there are issues that impact kids. They don't influence on young males, because when you go to prison, you're going to see a lot of minorities and a lot of poor whites. That's what you see in prison. I mean, whether you go to the juvenile detention facility in Miami-Dade, you see Hispanics there as well. Miami-Dade to Duval, you'll see a lot of minorities and a lot of poor whites. Once again, what they'll have in common is that most of them are poor, most of them come from single-family households, and most of them were poorly educated. Most of them were poorly educated. So once again, understanding the dynamics. When we were in a Wakulla like Franklin County, it was the whole community. I could get a spanking on this corner, and by the time I got to my aunt's house, I got another. So I had a lot of people to discipline. Now with the babies having babies, you got 27, 28-year-old grandmothers. It's a whole different story. You better not touch my child. You didn't bring him in this world, community at large, but the black community is just terrified, because a lot of those kids, once again, poorly educated, and they could make more selling drugs for 3 months than I could make the whole year. It's mad. It's mad. Someone has to get to those kids that, yeah, you can do that. You can make your money that way, but you're either going to end up dead or in prison. Or you can get your education, not make as nearly enough money, but you don't have to look over your shoulder for someone to arrest you or someone to rob you. So just understanding the nuances and the mindset by which kids think. And the community responsibility. One of my problems with the church in the community is that you have churches that are open only on Sunday. You're open just only on Sundays or Wednesdays for Bible study. But you have kids around here that are walking around needing not only the spiritual aspect of it. You talk about, you don't get an education. Your deputy's going to see them. Your taxes. I mean, one of the things in Wakulla County that I'm mad about is the amount of tax I have to pay for law enforcement. Because we'll pay now or we'll pay later. We'll pay to educate these kids, or we'll pay to incarcerate them. Your choice. And that's what we are. The other thing, in-school suspension. I would prefer in-school suspension any day over out-of-school suspension. Two reasons why. In-school suspension, they're still being educated. Secondly, I think Mr. Johnson mentioned it, that when these kids are out of school, with a single-parent mother who's working 2 jobs, what do you think the kid is? Someone stealing something from me. So that's a problem. So in-school suspension more so than out-of-school suspension. If you have to suspend a kid out of school, then and it should happen sometime. But there are reasons.